This is the Big South Trail, and as usual, COTREX is in gray, overlaid on the OpenStreetMap tiles, and I've highlighted in red the trail in particular that we'll be discussing. However, unlike some of the other examples here, if we turn on the Forest Service data, it shows up in black here, and notice it's pretty close to OpenStreetMap, which I will demonstrate is probably closer to reality than the COTREX data. So we'll turn that off for now. This discrepancy is about 128 feet or so not insignificant. I'll turn on the Strava heat map, and you can see that at least where most people are traveling, they're traveling on the location depicted by OpenStreetMap, which is also the location depicted by the Forest Service. So the question with this issue is, why does the Forest Service have it one way, which appears to be correct or more correct, and COTREX has it a different way? And just on the chance that the correction has not made it into the publicly available COTREX shapefiles, let's pull up actual COTREX web map, and you can see that COTREX indeed has it depicted in the web map the same way that the shapefile data from COTREX depicts it. This is another section of the Big South Trail, appropriately enough, south of the one we took a look at earlier. As usual, COTREX is in gray, overlaid on OpenStreetMap tiles, and I'll highlight the trail in question in red. Now, the discrepancy here is about 118 or 15 feet, so not insignificant. And if we pan down to the south, there's another discrepancy, and this one is about 100 feet. Now, the interesting thing here is if we turn on the data from the Forest Service, it is a lot closer to OpenStreetMap. And I actually believe, and I'll show you in a minute why, that Forest Service data here is probably the best of the three. So OpenStreetMap could use a few tweaks as well. And let's turn on that Strava heat map, and you can see that is very close to the Forest Service data, somewhat close to the OpenStreetMap data, and there's significant discrepancies still between COTREX and the other data sources. And in fact, if anything here, the discrepancy is even greater if we measure to the Forest Service data, about 131 feet. So let's just double check that these changes have not been made in the COTREX app itself, and simply have not made their way to the publicly available shapefiles that I'm using. So let's see, open area in COTREX. And indeed, it appears not to have been updated in the web app for COTREX. This is the Peterson Lake Trail, and as usual, COTREX in gray, overlaid on the OpenStreetMap tiles. And I'm going to highlight the particular trail in question, particularly since there's a couple different ones on the screen here. So the trail we're concerned about is in red. However, unlike some of the cases we've been discussing, in this case, if we turn on the data from the Forest Service, here it shows up in black, you can see that the COTREX data and the Forest Service data is significantly different, and the Forest Service data is fairly close to the OpenStreetMap data, which we're going to show is more likely to be closer to reality than what is shown in COTREX. So we'll turn off that for the moment and just go back to COTREX. This discrepancy is about 100 feet, 90 to 100 feet, so not insignificant. If we turn on the Strava heat map, we can see that the location shown by OpenStreetMap and the Forest Service is more likely to be closer to reality than COTREX. As a final piece of evidence here, I'm going to turn on the USGS 3D elevation program data, or rather hillshade of it, and you can see it's quite dramatic. I'm guessing this is an old logging road that this trail follows, that COTREX does not follow what is shown in the 3D elevation program, and which is highly accurate, both vertically and horizontally. Let's just turn on the Forest Service data again. You can see it follows, except for this where it, routes off of this apparently old logging road. It follows that signature in the 3D elevation program data pretty closely. So again, more evidence that that is the correct location, or as close to the correct location. Nothing is absolutely perfect. And what's shown in COTREX here in red is less likely to be correct. But let's just check, it's always possible that the web map in COTREX has been updated, but the publicly available shapefiles have not. So we'll open that area in COTREX. And I think you can see there that it has not been updated. This is the trail should go through here if we believe the Forest Service, and we believe the 3D elevation program data, and we believe the Strava heat map.